Bob Carr here with another episode of the Bob Carr Show. And in the studio today, loving to death, Fred Woods, client for a lot of years. And Fred, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come over and visit us and talk a little bit.
More than welcome, Bob. More than welcome. So, Bob, I guess you want to know a little bit about me.
Where'd you grow up at, Fred?
I grew up in a small town called Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And I grew up there. Mom and Dad grew up there, went to college there. Then I moved to Washington, D.C., went to grad school, and then had a choice to make whether I was going to become a Beltway bandit or was I going to serve my country. So I decided to spend 21 years in the Air Force as a hospital administrator and retired at the rank of Lieutenant Colonel in 2002. Then after I left the Air Force, I decided that let me work around the Beltway in Washington, D.C. for a while, and then worked for several companies. Then I started my own company. I started my own company in 2007. And what we do is we do government contract work. We work for Department of Defense primarily. We do work with the Department of Agriculture, the Navy, and we do IT work. We do business solutions, business re-engineering support, and been doing this since 2007, and it's been great.
So what's some of the challenges you see in your trade versus when you first got in, when you were in the Air Force? I guess you've seen a lot of changes over the years?
A tremendous amount of changes. But the biggest changes in terms of people's attitudes about recruitment. People, for some reason, don't want to work, for some reason. And they don't want to work for a fair wage and those kinds of things. And it's just that being in business is not easy. If you could do it, everyone would be able to do it. And there's only a few people that can really take the time to work and provide a living and a well-being for people. And I take that very seriously because I have 125 employees and they depend on me every day to feed their family, to take their retirement check and all those kinds of things. So it's very important.
When I'm over visiting you at your home, you and I are working on a project together, or you're working with one of my team members at your home, you always seem to have a lot of patience, and I've never seen you pick up your phone and say, Bob, I got to take this. How do you balance all that? Because you make it look very simple, and I know I agree with you. It's not simple being a business owner myself, but how do you balance all that?
Well, for me, Bob, I like people. I like relationships. And I think I can look at a person and kind of make a judge in terms of they're having a bad day, and they could be having a bad day just because their child is sick or whatever.
Sure.
So the first thing I try to do is to greet people and see how they're doing. And that will determine the day. Then be patient because everybody's going to make a mistake. Everything is not perfect. And you don't always have to go to the boss. I'm a firm believer that the person that you send out there is representing Bob Carr. And if I want them to represent Bob Carr, they want to do a good job for me. And I want them to know that doing a good job for me is also going to help them. So, I believe in giving people the responsibilities up front and let them make the determination whether they're going to be good or bad. And I like people, and I try to be a good judge of character because most people, I feel, want to do a good job. Mm-hmm. And given the responsibilities and given the not only the responsibility, but also the ownership and the responsibility that they will do a good job. I think people want to do a good job.
People don't set out in the morning going to do a horrible job for somebody, do they?
I don't think so. For an example, I know that if I hire Bob Carr to do a job, one thing I know he's going to do, his craftsmanship is going to be good, he's going to be responsible, and he's going to be competitive. His pricing is always going to be competitive, and I know that if I need to call Bob Carr, that Bob Carr will pick up the phone and answer. And that's a judgment in terms of relationships that you have with people. You can call people all day long, and they will never respond to you. Mm. But if I call you and you either pick up the phone or you get back with me, then I know I have a good relationship with you.
Communication going on.
Communication with you. Good. And I never cash a chip in unless I'm going to really, really need it. If I'm going to have a problem, if I can't work it out with Grayton, if I can't work it out with one of the people there, then it's something wrong. I should not have to call you.
Gotcha. I like how you manage, how you work and how you think.
Yeah.
That's why you're successful what you're doing.
Well, Success is depends upon, Bob, I look at life in three-dimensional. One, I consider my faith and my spirituality is important to me. My second thing is my health. And if I can have my health, I can make money. And then it's my family. So if those things in my life are balanced, I don't worry about money. I don't worry about anything because I know God's going to take care of me. I know my family's going to be supportive, and I'm going to have the resources that I need to make it.
Very true.
Pretty easy.
Very true. A lot of people forget that, though, don't they?
Yeah,
they
do.
get that out of bounds and all out of whack. And
you get it out of
wonder
balance.
why they got problems.
Exactly.
Fred, I appreciate you stopping in today and talking with us a few minutes. I know your time is valuable, but I appreciate you coming in.
Okay, Bob, thanks so much for having me.
And this wraps up another episode of The Bob Carr Show, and stay tuned next week for another episode.